Good evening once again, and welcome, beloved friends, to another gathering of our Creative Living series. What a joy it is to be here together. It's a blessing. It's what giving thanks. Every time we gather, we create more than just a meeting. We create a circle of love, of wisdom, of growth. Each person brings their own story. It is unique, their own experiences, their light, and together it becomes something so much bigger than any one of us. And I thank you all for that. Tonight's theme might sound a little surprising at first, maybe even like it doesn't quite fit. But the deepest truths are often the ones that invite us to see things in a new way, in a different way, from a different angle. And that's what we'll be exploring together in our lesson. Shadows make you whole. Shadows make you whole. When we hear the word shadow, most of us don't think of anything pleasant. We may think of fear, of something hiding in the dark, or danger lurking where we can't see clearly. It's not always a good feeling. A shadow often carries the idea of mystery, uncertainty, or even threat. There's some uneasiness with shadow. As children, we may have been afraid of the dark, afraid of the shadows in our bedroom at night, imagining monsters or something frightening. As adults, we may not fear literal shadows anymore, but we still carry that sense of wanting to avoid what is dark, uncomfortable, unknown. So when we talk about shadows in our lives, it is natural that our first reaction is, that's bad. I don't want to be there. I don't want that. Get rid of it. We just stay clear of that. We often think shadows mean weakness, failure, some form of negativity, something shameful. But here is the truth. Shadows are not here to hurt us. They are not the enemy. That situation is not there to hurt you. A shadow is simply a part of life or a part of us that hasn't been brought fully into the light yet. That part of you that's hidden, that you have not brought forward to the light. It's not a monster, it's simply something hidden, waiting to be understood, waiting to be embraced and transformed. Just as the shadow of a tree provides rest and balance from the hot sun, or the shadow of night allows our bodies to rest and renew, the shadows in our lives also have a purpose. And as students of this teaching, we want to understand that purpose. They are part of our wholeness. You know, we often talk about all things, they work together. As Ernest Holmes reminds us, there is nothing to be afraid of in the dark, for the dark is merely the absence of light. Where we bring the light of truth to it, the darkness disappears. I remember a story of a little boy who was terrified of the shadows in his bedroom at night. Every evening when the lights went off, he would see shapes on the wall that looked scary. To him, they were monsters waiting to grab him. He would cry out for his mother, and she would come into the room and turn on the lamp and show him what the shadows really were. The monster on the wall was nothing more than the coat he had left hanging on the back of a chair. Another scary shape was simply the branches of a tree outside swaying in the breeze. Once the light was turned on, he could see the truth. The shadows were not dangerous at all. They only looked frightening because he didn't yet understand them. As a shadow. Isn't that the same with us? Our inner shadows, the parts of ourselves we don't want to face, that ugly one that happened a while ago. We do not even want to discuss that or mention it to anyone. It often looks bigger and scarier than they really are. Fear, grief, anger, or doubt can feel like monsters on the wall. But when we bring awareness, understanding, compassion, and light to them, we realize they are simply parts of us that need understanding and love. In life, it's natural to be drawn to the good and light, the joy, the peace, the healing, and the abundance. It's natural. We want that. These are beautiful expressions of who we are, and it's right to celebrate them. But life is not made of light alone. Life is not made of the good alone. There are also seasons of doubt, of sadness, of struggle. And if we push those away or pretend they don't exist, we end up living only half of our truth. But being authentic means we allow ourselves to show up as we are really. The totality of us, not only when things are going well, but also when life feels heavy or confusing. Growing means we no longer rush past the hard places, but let them teach us. One of the things as truth students, it's always to ask, what is this teaching me? What is the lesson from this experience? Living in wholeness means we don't divide our story into parts we are proud of and the parts we are ashamed of. Instead, we begin to see all of it as part of our journey. It's all part of who we are. As Howard Thurman wisely said, there are times when we must stop pretending, for only the whole truth about ourselves will set us free. So we do not have to be ashamed of that past, of that ugly past. It's part of who we are. When we let both the light and the shadow belong, we step into that freedom because we understand the dark and we're able to learn and move forward. We discover that wholeness is not about perfection. It is about embracing the fullness of life with honesty, with courage, with everything that you have, love. Again, the truth is, the shadows in our lives are not meant to tear us down or take away who we are. They come to shape us, to stretch us, and to deepen us. So, when we're going through that stretching, we remember to give thanks because it's working all things out for us. A season of shadow may not feel good while we are in it, but it often gives us roots that grow stronger and wisdom we could not have gained any other way. Shadows do not steal our joy. Instead, they prepare us to feel joy in a deeper, richer way. They give us understanding. Think about after the cold, warmth feels like a blessing because you understand both sides. In the same way, the shadow seasons in our lives awaken our ability to truly cherish moments of light. Again, shadows do not block the light forever. They remind us how precious the light really is. Without shadow, we might take the light for granted. With shadow, we notice it, we celebrate it, and we value it more fully. So instead of seeing shadows as enemies, this class, we can begin to see them as guides, pointing us to growth, to resilience, to a deeper kind of joy that isn't shaken by circumstances. And what this lesson is about, so when we are going through that situation, we'll remember to give thanks and look out for the lessons. We are here to remind you that what we call mistakes or failures are really teachers shaping us into who we are meant to be, who you have come here to be. Wholeness isn't about having all the good stuff. It's about letting the light and the shadow, the ups and the down, all be part of your story. Light always turns into morning, and the valleys make the mountain tops even more meaningful. That experience makes your life more meaningful. When we stop fighting our shadows and start accepting them, life feels more balanced, more honest, and a lot richer. In psychology, philosophy, and even in spirituality, shadows have been described in many ways. Carl Jung taught us that the shadow is part of ourselves that we deny, we repress, or keep hidden. There may be traits learned when in the family that we thought we are unacceptable and we want to suppress it, or wounds we carry silently. In our journeys, shadows can feel like valleys of life when you're so down there and you don't see the light. Times of grief, struggle, or when it seems like the divine is so far away, you forget that you're one with that power. It's in you, in it till you live, you move, and you have your being. But here is the beautiful thing. It's often in those very shadows that we discover the deepest truths about ourselves and about life. Often the seasons that stretch us the most are the ones that end up growing us the deepest. So again, when we are going through that period, remember to look out for the lesson, because there is some good in it. The moment when you questioned yourself, you faced loss or walked through uncertainty, those seasons may have felt like shadows, but they shaped you. The scriptures is full of imagery about this. In Psalm 23, the writer does not say, I avoid the valley of the shadow. But though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For you, Spirit, you are with me. So walk through the valley of the shadow of whatever situation. Do not be afraid, because in that power you live and you move and you have your being. The shadow isn't something to escape. It's something we pass through. And often in that place, we find divine closer. We find spirit closer and more comforting than ever. The same wisdom is echoed by mystics across the world. Rumi said, the wound is the place where the light enters you. We've heard this a number of times. What we see as weakness or brokenness, the shadow places of our lives, often become the very openings where spirit can reach us more deeply. I guess when we're in the shadow of our life, we are more sensitive. We are calmer. A New Thought affirms this as well. Myrtle Fillmore said that every experience can be a stepping stone if we choose to see it that way. What seems dark at first is often the very place where new life begins. So we are not out of place to think of when we're going through a shadow that something new is about to happen. In other words, our shadows are not enemies. They are simply parts of life waiting for us to shine awareness and love upon it. Think about it. Whether it's the psalmist walking through the valley, the mystic who says the light comes through our wounds, or mortal Fillmore, reminding us that even the dark places can bring in new life. It all points to the same truth. Our shadows aren't there to take us down. We'll just remember that we are going through a situation. We're going through. And we're coming out at the other end abundant. They are here to grow us, to open us up, and to lead us toward wholeness. Wholeness. Sometimes the best reminders come from nature itself. Nature is one of the greatest teachers. And it quietly reminds us again and again that both light and shadow are necessary for life. Every seed starts out in the dark. It's buried in the soil where nobody can see it, just waiting. But that hidden time in the ground is exactly what makes it strong enough to push through and grow. Without the dark, the seed would never become what it's meant to be. And it's the same with us. Some of the biggest growth happens quietly in those shadow seasons, long before anyone else can see. So just like the butterfly, the cocoon, we're developing our wings, making it stronger. You're going through a situation. We're pushing. We're holding on. You're affirming. You're getting stronger. Here's another example. The crow's healing ritual. Even animals know how to work with tough stuff. When crows feel sick or weighed down by parasites, you know what they do? They land on an ant hill. It's called anting. Spread their wings and let the ants crawl over them. It looks strange and uncomfortable, but there is a reason for it. The ants release formic acid, a natural cleanser that fights off germs and parasites, and it helps heal the crow. What seems messy on the outside, it's really medicine. And just like that, the shadow places in our own lives might feel uncomfortable, but they end up being the very thing that restores us. So it will be wonderful to say to yourself, if you're going through one, this situation is bringing me to an enlarged place. I'm coming out stronger and wiser because I know so, because I've said so. All around the world, people have found the same truth. What looks broken, painful, or hard can end up being the very thing that makes us whole. So what, again, is the lesson about? Give thanks for that situation. Take the kintsugi bowl from Japan. We know about this story. When a piece of pottery breaks, it isn't tossed aside. Instead, the cracks are filled with lacquer mixed with gold. The broken places don't get covered up. They are highlighted. The bowls become even more beautiful because of the cracks, not in spite of the cracks. So that situation is making you better. wiser, more beautiful. That's such a picture of the soul. Our culture all often tell us to hide our flaws, to cover up our scars, or to throw away what feels broken. But spirit works differently. The very cracks in our lives, the wounds, the struggles, the disappointments, they are not wasted. There's a reason for that. When we place them in divine love, they are filled with wisdom, compassion, and beauty. Those cracks, those shadow places, become the shining lines that show our wholeness. They are not mistakes to erase. They are the golden pathways where spirit shines through. Let's pause and think about our own shadows. What shadows would we want to bring to the light? Can you remember a time of loss, of failure, or fear that felt so heavy then, but later shaped you in a way you are grateful for now? Maybe it gave you a softer heart towards others. Maybe built strength you didn't know you had. Or it cleared out what no longer fits you and made room for something new. On this call, I remember one of us here during our interaction time shared how the sound of the ambulance siren always touches her. Years ago, she was carried in one during a miscarriage. That painful shadow left a mark on her. But instead of holding on to the grief, it opened her heart. Now, every time she hears the siren, she stops to say a prayer for whoever that's inside. Out of the shadow came compassion. Shadows are not punishments. They are teachers. And often, they are the teachers that shape us the most. Each one carries a hidden lesson. Each shadow experience, waiting for us to pause, listen, and find the gift in it. It's our work to pause, to listen, and find the gift in every encounter, every valley experience, every shadow experience. Do you remember the old story about two children who were each placed in a room full of manure? One sat down and cried, overwhelmed by the mess. The other began digging with excitement. When asked why, he said, "With all this manure, there must be a pony in here somewhere. In all the mess, there must be something good. There's a lesson. You have a story that the world will want to hear." The very things we wish would just go away, often the ones shaping us the most. That experience, there's something good about it. Embracing our shadows doesn't mean pretending we enjoy pain. After all, we know suffering is not God ordained. It just means making space to listen, creating time to listen, to learn, and to let those hidden parts become part of our wholeness. There's only one purpose for life. We're walking through from good to greater good, towards wholeness, towards alignment. And here is a few simple ways to start. One is name the shadow, whatever that shadow is, call it a name. When a heavy feeling shows up, from sadness, fear, anger, or doubt, instead of pushing it away, gently name it. You might say to yourself, "This is sadness. This is jealousy. This is fear. Just naming it helps bring it out of the dark into your awareness. Once you name it, it doesn't feel so overwhelming because you've acknowledged it with honesty. The next one is listen to the gift. Every shadow carries a message. When you notice a shadow, pause and ask, what are you here to teach me? What is the lesson from this experience? For example, when you're restless, is a teacher showing us that our spirit is ready for a change. You're tired of the status quo. You just want a change. You want to break out. And silence, though it can feel empty at first, often teaches us to hear the deeper voice within. In quietness and in confidence is your strength. Anytime we are able to be quiet long enough, we will hear that thing within speaking. Because it always speaks, it always directs. Even in the shadows, wisdom is at work. The next one will be offer compassion. Instead of fighting against the shadow, place your hand over your heart and gently say, I welcome all of me, even this. This simple practice shifts the energy from rejection to compassion. It reminds you that even the hardest part of yourself deserves love, not judgment. That very difficult part, that very high mountain that you've tried so many times and you failed, it deserves love. Then express creatively. Shadows don't always show up in what we say. Sometimes they show up as a heavy feeling in the body, a kind of uneasiness, or just energy that feels stuck. And we talk about creative practices like journaling, painting, writing, walking in nature, or even listening to music. What it does, it brings out those hidden parts and gives it a safe way to come forward when we get creative. When we create, the shadow gets to speak, and healing often follows. When we get creative, you journal, and you're journaling a lot of things. And as you're writing, so many things are coming out. And you know the ones to discard and throw out in the garbage because this is not who you are. And you know the ones to put up on your fridge and affirm it often. So we learn to journal. So in conclusion, shadows do not diminish us. They complete us. Without them, life will be thin and shallow. With them, we have so much depth, understanding. Shadows, they invite us to grow roots. We get stronger after we've gone through a situation. They are silent teachers. Think of it this way. The night does not steal the sky. It reveals the stars that can't be seen in the daylight. That situation, that shadow, is revealing the stars in you. The cracks in a vessel do not destroy it. They become places where the gold of spirit shines through. The soil does not bury the seed to kill it. It shelters it until it is strong enough to rise into the light. There's some molding happening in the shadow. In the same way, the shadows of our lives do not erase our light. They prepare us to shine more brightly. Wholeness, again, is not about perfection. It's about embracing all of it, the laughter and the tears, the victory and the losses, the bright days, the shadowed nights. When we learn to honor the shadows instead of running from them, we discover they've been shaping us all along. There's something good about the shadow experience. So as you live tonight, carry this truth with you. Nothing in life is wasted. We say it's all working out for our own good. Even the hard seasons, even the broken pieces, even the silent struggles, all of it belong. They are part of who we are. All of it has purpose. And all of it is part of your wholeness, part of my wholeness. I like this one so much. The night reveals the stars. That shadow is revealing something great about you. The cracks reveal the gold. The soil shelters the seed. And the shadows make us whole. The shadows make you whole. The shadows make me whole. And so it is.